Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Survey of Afro-Asian Literature. I am Leon Kate Bulyoso from BS Ed 3. I am here today to discuss about the famous Thailand writer and their notable works. The first in the list is Pra Suntornwohan, known as Suntornpu. He was born on June 16, 1786. He is Thailand's best-known royal poet, well known as the father of Thai literature. Suntornpu is a Thai poet who lived during the 19th century. He is often referred to as Thailand Shakespeare and is certainly the kingdom's most well-known poet. He wrote during the Ratanakosin period, whose career as a royal poet began in the reign of King Rama II, and when the king died, he resigned from the role and became a monk for 20 years. Then, in the reign of King Rama III, he returned to court as a royal scribe, where he remained for the rest of his life. Many of his works have been commemorated in literary landmarks found all over Thailand, including on the island of Osamet. There is also an entire monument dedicated to him in Suntornpu Memorial Park in Rayong, with a statue of Pu surrounded by other sculptures that replicate characters from his work. Suntornpu was renowned for composing verse, and his epic poetry was popular in Thailand up to the present day. His works include Nirat Pukautong, a collection of poems recounting his journey to the Golden Mountain, Nirat Supan, or his journey to Suphanburi province, and the Pra Apay Mani Saga, where Suntorn was left behind a legacy of poems that have become very famous over time because his written was described Thai history. The story of Pra Apay Mani poems describe a fantastical world where people of all races and religions live and interact together in the harmony. Recently, his literary works have been adapted in various media such as comics, films, songs, cinemas, and animated cartoons. For Thai, Pra Apay Mani is a 48,700-line epic poem composed by Thai poet Suntornpu, who is known as the Bard of Ratanakosin. It is considered to be one of the Thailand's national epics, with 48,686 couplets. It is listed as the longest Thai single poem. Suntornpu started working on this epic fantasy from 1822 and finished in 1844. It took 22 years for him to finish. It is also one of well-known Thai folklores that has been heavily adapted into films and comics. The main protagonists are Prince Apay Mani, the mermaid, and the Pisu Samut, a female yak or giant, who can transmute herself into a beautiful girl. Suntornpu was left behind a legacy of poems that have became very famous over time because his written was described Thai history. The second famous writer is Prabdayun. Prabdayun does it all, from writing to graphic designing to translating and more. There is seemingly nothing that this Bangkokian can't do. Yun was educated on the East Coast in the US and remained there until 2002. When he was 29 years old, he moved back to the Thailand and was almost immediately awarded the SEA Award or Southeast Asian Writers Award for his collection of short stories titled The Sad Part Was, now published by Tilted Axis Press in Muy Pupuk Sakul English Translation. As a renowned translator, he worked on some of the famous work or pieces of literature ever written, including Lolita by Vladimir Nabokov and A Clockwork Orange by Anthony. Prabdayun gained prominence as the writer who popularized postmodern narrative techniques in contemporary Thai literature. He is the author of multiple short story collections, novels and screenplays, and has translated The Catcher in the Rye, A Clockwork Orange, and Lolita into Thai. His short story collection, Huam Nadja Pen, won the Seawright Award in 2002. The next author that I am going to discuss is S.P. Somto. He is a Thai-American musical composer. He is also a science fiction, fantasy, and horror author writing in English. Somto has both Thailand and American citizenship. S.P. Somto is inspirational and successful in his TED Talk given in Chiang Mai titled Riding the Lightning. He discussed big ideas and how people should deal with them. Lightning strikes us all the time, but we don't want to seize that bolt of lightning and do something about it, Somto said. And what I want to talk to you today about is how to decide what to do when lightning strikes, how to react, whether you should run away in terror or whether you should grasp it and simply let it burn you up and do something. We can only assume that Somto followed this exact same advice when pursuing his many dreams. Somto has dabbled in various different careers in his life. In addition to being one of Thailand's most well-known writers, he also composed music beginning in the 1970s. After composing, he wrote science fiction but later experimented with a variety of genres including horror and fantasy after moving to United States. The International Herald Tribune even referred to Somto as the most well-known expatriate Thai in the world. Some of his most popular books include Jasmine Nights, his Chronicles of the High Inquest series, Moondance, The Stone Buddha's Tears, Other Edens, Darker Angels, and The Shattered Horse. Another leading literary figure is former Prime Minister M.R. Kukrit Pramo, whose works have been prolific. They appeared in various forms including short story author. His collection of short stories, the so-called Lychee Wit, is considered an exemplary work embodying the finest Thai prose, an appreciation of which is essential for the appraisal of Thai contemporary literature. His most outstanding novel, Sipandin or Four Reigns, revolves around the court life from the reign of King Rama V to King Rama VIII, offering a vivid portrait of Thai society in those long years. Seni Sawapong, Sakchai Bamrongpong was a diplomat, author, and journalist who wrote under the pen name of Seni Sawapong. He was named a National Artist for Literature in 1990. His most outstanding novel is Pisard, The Ghost, written in 1953. It did not become popular until after the October 14, 1973. Pisard criticizes the feudal system and old values in Thai society, and it is told through the eyes of the main characters, Sai Sima and Ratchani, who represent new generation Thais.